The 25th of April marks the anniversary of the landing at Gallipoli. Hundreds of thousands of our fellow citizens would normally gather at memorials in cities, suburbs and towns across Australia. At Scots PGC, we recognise this most significant day, ANZAC Day. And we have come together in a new way to commemorate this most important date in our national calendar. In recent years, it has become obvious that the observance of ANZAC Day has continued to draw record crowds. However, those who are surprised by this fact show that they understand very little about our national character and the way in which it comes to affect all who settle in this country, even those who have lived here for just a short while. Even in our current trying times, it is important we take the time to recognise those who went before us through unimaginable trials and tribulations. For younger generations, it is sometimes difficult to understand why it is with such gratitude that we should remember, but we have enjoyed the benefits of peace and an easy existence which has been purchased at the cost of many lives. Few of us have ever had to risk everything ourselves or chance our loved ones to the dangers of war. But for older generations of Australians, remembering such things is easier. War and death came far too frequently into their lives as, in the past, the men and women of our armed forces saw active service in places such as Belgium, Borneo, France, Korea, the Middle East, New Guinea, Palestine, Turkey and Vietnam. Recently, a new generation of our soldiers, airmen and sailors continue to serve in troubled locations, including Afghanistan, Timor-Leste, Egypt, Iraq, the Middle East, Sudan and the Solomon Islands. It is now a long-standing tradition that on ANZAC Day we all pause to remember those that offered up their life in the defence of their nation and community, which is the greatest contribution any citizen can make. This tradition is as relevant today as it was when our troops landed on the beaches of Gallipoli in 1915. We only have to recall the Australians that have died or been injured in recent years on operations overseas and within Australia to protect Australia and its national interests. There is something very Australian in coming together for such a cause. As we have over recent years with numerous natural disasters and as we do in our current environment, our natural disposition is to stick together in adversity and support each other. I like to think that this flows from the deepest springs of our national character and a belief that happiness is the right of all people in this country. Andrew Wu will share part of our college's history today, requiring us to think deeply about not only the ANZAC story and spirit, but the specific life of one of our Scots PGC fallen, David L. Crichton. It must be noted that in the late Mr. Basil Shaw's chronicling of the history of the first 74 years of our college, that of the 746 boys enrolled at the college between 1919 and the beginning of the Second World War in 1939, 326, or 44% of our students enlisted. Such a disproportionate enlistment record speaks volumes for the values of the college and our sense of community, pride and support for each other. These characteristics and our commitment to our values is still strong today. Our college continues to be a place in which young men and women are inspired to seek out careers in active service of their country and, of equal importance, seek to produce people of substance and worth, prepared to work towards making our community, our world, a better place. Future generations need to be reminded that happiness and security has a price. For surely if happiness is the product of freedom, then freedom is the reward of courage. We should be grateful to those that have helped preserve our nation and our way of life through their sacrifice. In doing so, we keep bright the memory of those lives. It is in the remembrance of these things that communities across the nation pause and remember on a most special day, ANZAC Day, lest we forget.
In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Pilot Officer David Leckie Crichton. David Leckie Crichton was the youngest of 4 boys born to William and Vera Crichton of Warwick. After completing his primary education at Willowvale State School, he followed his 3 brothers to Scots College in 1926. David was particularly close to his brother Scott, and the two were jokingly referred to as Pub 1 and Pub 2. Undeterred by the presence of his older brothers, David set out to make his own mark on the history of the Scots College. David was an industrious student and passed his junior certificate in 1928 and his senior in 1930. The brothers were always prominent in the sporting life of the Scots College, with David arguably being the best out of them. He was the 1928 athletics champion and received colours for athletics, cricket and football. In the 1930 edition of The Clansman, he was described as a front row forward who uses his weight well, excellent in line-outs, handling and defence. He was made prefect in 1930. Upon leaving the Scots College, David went back to Morven, where he loved the land and was content to stay in the country working as a jackaroo. When World War II broke out, he saw it as his duty to enlist in RAAF. David did his early training at various RAAF training schools, before being posted to Canada under the EATS program to finish his flying training and obtain his wings. While in Canada, he achieved more honours when he was awarded as the Dux of his course and was the first Australian to win the Canadian Airways Trophy in 1940. Upon leaving Canada, David was posted to England, where he joined the 101st Squadron at the RAF station Bertram Newton's Bomber Command. In 1938, the squadron was equipped with Bristol Blenheim bombers, but by the time David had arrived, they had changed to Vickers Wellingtons. The squadron's motto is Mens Agitat Molem, which translates as mind over matter, and David certainly would have drawn on this, as he flew missions deep inside the Ruhr Valley with German munition factories as targets. From April to August of 1941, David flew many dangerous missions. On the 30th of August 1941, his aircraft encountered heavy ground fire, and although severely wounded, his aircraft made it back to base. However, David Crichton died of his injuries on September 1st, 1941. Upon hearing of his death, Mr. Dunning, the principal at the time, called a special school assembly to announce to the students the heroic passing of the much-loved former student. He spoke with a heavy heart as he said, he was proud to have known David Crichton. He impressed not only him, but many others with whom he had spoken. A fine type of young Australian, an old boy of whom any school would have been proud. David Leckie Crichton lies buried in this Cambridge City Cemetery.
That some who loved the school will not return. They sang the songs we sing today, and well they knew these step-worn corridors and halls, through which they passed through each day, called by this bell. But now they lie beneath a foreign soil. In youth they wore the cardinal and gold, today the garb of fame that grows not old.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. James Gordon Allen.
Robert Kelvin Allen.
John Leonard Allison.
Ian Mackenzie Angus.
George Douglas Rutherford Avery.
James Chippendale Campbell.
David Lecky Crichton.
Charles Aberney Crombie, DSO, DFC.
Mervyn Kobe Crombie. Beresford M.T. Davis.
Ralph Graham Davidson. Edgar Vincent Durnley, DFC.
Desmond Barton Ellery.
David Arthur Fox.
Kenneth William Gale, DFC.
Keith Harold Gardner.
William Emerson Gilmore.
Keith Lambert Hamilton.
Ronald Martin Hamilton.
Edgar Murray Hancock.
John Francis Jackson, DFC.
George Donaldson Jekyll.
James Leslie Kennedy.
Kenneth Marcus Denby Lyons, DFM.
Archibald Hay Marshall.
Thomas Archibald Micklejohn.
John Hubert Mellersh.
Maurice St. George Middleton.
Archibald Murray McClymont.
Lindsay James Sutherland McCall.
Robert Graham McDowell.
Charles Alexander McGaw.
Brian Viech McLean, BEM.
Malcolm Hamilton Murray McLean, DFC.
Keith Cumming McPhee, DFC.
David Skeen Patterson.
Claude D. Sanderson.
Colin Sheldon.
Kenneth Hall Smith.
William Arthur Sudolph. Alfred Walter Tierman.
William George Thompson.
Lest we forget.
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 Lest we forget. Lest we forget.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Let's we forget.
Lest we forget. Lest we forget.